Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lady Freire, Program Manager with Visión y Compromiso. And we are here today to talk about the Promotor Model and how the promotores can be a very good asset for your organization when you employ them as workers. So thank you for being here, Miriam Hernandez, Ana Rico, Garrett Wong, and Gina Carvalho, and you are going to have time to introduce yourselves. I'm going to start talking about what Visión y Compromiso is, who we are. So let me share my screen. We are Visión y Compromiso, and this is the Workforce Development Program or project. Visión y Compromiso was founded in 2000 and is a nationally respected organization dedicated to improving the health and well-being of unrepresented communities. We are one of the expert organizations in California providing comprehensive and ongoing leadership, development, capacity building, advocacy training, and support to over 4,000 promotores and community health workers. Our mission is Visión y Compromiso is committed to community well-being by supporting promotores and community health workers. And our vision is towards a healthy and dignified life. Who promotores are? We are here to talk about promotores and their value to organizations. Promotores are highly trained community experts. They are trusted members of their communities. Anyone could be a promotor. Anyone who lives in a community and know their culture can be a promotor. And they work with something called servicio de corazón, service from the heart. That's the very distinctive way of work for promotores. They educate, empower, and advocate for community change. They are linguistically and culturally sensitive. And they share a desire to improve their communities so that all families may know a better way of life. And what we do in Visión y Compromiso is unite promotores and the organizations they represent as one voice behind the vision of a life with dignity and health for all. We work with a model, the Promotor Model, which is a model for community transformation. Every time that a promotor works with a community, it's creating some change. And the work of the promotor starts from themselves, from the individual. They create egalitarian relationships. Because they are part of the community, they know who the people are, they know the language, they know the customs. So they are part of the community and everyone treats with egalitarianly. Everyone is the same and equal. The promotores also share information and resources. El promotor o promotora, the promotor, it's always the people who knows, the person who knows where are the resources, who are the organizations, who I need to talk to get a doctor's appointment or to advocate for something that is happening in my community. So they share information and resources, and they are the bridge between services or organization or agencies with the community. And through this model of doing something, taking action to create better ways of living for the community, they promote community participation. When one promoter starts working with the community, start talking about things with the community, other people are going to identify with that person. And they would say, I could be that person too. I could be that woman. And that is the first step to engage the community and to recreate the same model in different communities, within a family and then within the community. And that is the beauty of the model. We can use this model in different communities, regardless the language, the culture, the part of the world where they are living. Any community can use this model to create change and wellness for their communities. And also, the promoter models transforms institutions. And that's why we are here today with these guests, very important guests. Why an institution would want to integrate this promoter model into their workforce because they have an interest and motivation to work with promotores. They have a genuine interest in creating healthy communities. And in Visión y Compromiso, we understand healthy communities as a whole, not only the absence of an illness, but to have social justice, economic needs solved, education, housing, mental health. So health, it's everything as human beings. Also, institutionalized vision for social justice and social change within their own organizational environment. Organizations and institutions, agencies, counties, state-level organizations who believe in social justice and social change are called to introduce or to work with this model at their organizations. Practice partnership and collaboration with the community. That's very important. Organizations who work with the promoter model change the way that community see them. They have more connections and they become part of the community that they are working with. And advocate for egalitarian political and institutional systems that foster equity and opportunities for all. So the promoter model can change individuals, communities, institutions, organizations, and we believe in this model in Visión y Compromiso as a way to transform and go towards social justice and social change. So I'm going to start that presentation. And now I'm going to let you introduce yourself. We're going to start by alphabetical order, so we are equal to everybody. So welcome, Ana Rico. Please introduce yourself. What is your role and your organization?
I like the way you did that, lady.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ana Rico. I work at CEC as the community ambassador for the South County of Santa Barbara. And so CEC focuses a lot on food, energy, and plastics. So everything that we do is climate related issues, topics. There's programs that we have. But I'll go into that a little later on, and I'll let the rest of the panel introduce themselves. But thank you for this invitation.
Thank you, Anna. Welcome.
Anna, what is CC? You're muted.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. CEC stands for Community Environmental Council.
Oh, yes, I know CEC. I just thought you said CC, and thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, CEC.
Thank you, Gina.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then we go with Garrett Wong. Thank you, Garrett, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. My name is Garrett Wong. I'm the Climate Program Manager for the County of Santa Barbara. I'm working on the county's 2030 Climate Action Plan. I'm also leading what's called the One Climate Initiative throughout the county, which helps to lift up various long-range planning projects that the county is leading on. And we'll talk about that as we get into the questions. So thank you.
Garrett. Nina, welcome.
Thank you. So I'm Gina Carvalho. I'm the Executive Director for the Santa Barbara Response Network. And every time I hear this presentation, when you talk about the mission, the goals, and what you do, the heart-centered work, that's exactly what we do in responding to trauma of any kind. And currently, we're doing response to mental health agencies or nonprofits staff who have been impacted by COVID. And I applied for America Rescue Funds to expand our services to North County and to various locations that are needing trauma support work. And your model is always so in line and with our vision. So I'm hoping we can collaborate.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
for being here. And Miriam Hernandez. Welcome, Miriam.
Hi, lady. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm very glad to see all of you, Garrett, Gina, Anna. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Miriam Hernandez. I'm the Workforce Training Manager with Visión y Compromiso. Visión y Compromiso is a nonprofit organization that is working the whole state of California for promotores with promotores. Thank you, lady.
Thank you, Miriam. Yes, and to put in context to all the people who are watching us, we have known each other through the work of the program Pathway to Employment for Promotores and Community Health Workers. And there were some organizations that were interested in working with promotores. And maybe you did not about the promotor model or who promotores are at the beginning. And that's our work to spread the word about who promotores are. So I have some questions to discuss today. And the first one, and there's not order, you can jump in the conversation. Why was your organization interested in implementing the promoter model or working with promoters? Who wants to go first?
I'm not one to be shy, so I'll go first.
Thank you.
So as I mentioned, I work for the County of Santa Barbara, and one of my projects is called the 2030 Climate Action Plan. And for those who aren't familiar, it's a plan that will help guide the county in both identifying and implementing certain actions, programs, policies, and projects to help reduce carbon emissions in the unincorporated county. You could think of things like building energy use, grid electricity, transportation, waste that we throw away in the landfills and our agricultural systems. But it's a very complex and complicated topic. And as you can imagine, we only tend to attract people who are very interested in the subject when it comes to any kind of participation, surveys, webinars, workshops, any kind of engagement around the issue that's related to climate tends to have a very small circle of interested stakeholders. My project is just one project that the county is leading on. There are a number of different projects that we have, including a climate change adaptation plan, an environmental justice element, a housing element, and an active transportation plan. And these are all plans that are similar in that they're trying to address climate change through one way or another. They're addressing environmental justice issues, they're urban planning and community issues, and they all face the same challenges when it comes to community outreach and engagement. So traditionally, we use the communication and outreach channels that we already are familiar with. We'll have press releases and newsletters, and sometimes we'll do social media. But again, the viewership is very limited, and it tends to be limited in English. So it was a real opportunity when we were introduced to Visión y Compromiso to learn about another way of engaging with a different set of the population, one who we know just typically is not aware of what we're doing, and also is challenged to engage on the issue. So for that reason, we wanted to partner with Visión y Compromiso to learn more about the Promotor Model, and then to figure out how can we work with promotores to have them engage on a variety of climate, sustainability, urban planning issues that do affect people in real, in their day-to-day lives, but trying to make those connections and doing so in a way that's linguistically and culturally appropriate for them.
You, Garrett, it was very nice to know that this sector was interested in working with promotores, or approaching, or getting to know, interested in knowing what promotores do and why can they help, or how can they help. Thank you. Who wants to go next? Anna.
I wanted to mention something that Garrett was talking about. When I was I'm a resident of Santa Barbara for a very, very long time. I grew up here. I went to school here in Santa Barbara, and there was a lot of topics as I was growing up that I always wonder why my mom never knew about this information, right? There was always other parents who were part of certain committees, certain things, but not my mom, not my dad, not my aunt, not my uncle. And I always kind of wonder, why does the county of Santa Barbara are not interested in hearing what we have to say, right? So when I participate in some stuff that Garrett has done, some workshops, some other stuff, and when I saw that they were interested in doing things differently, for me was a very exciting moment in my life, because our community, my community, is not going to be in the dark anymore. Yes, this process takes a while. Everything has protocols and has paperwork that you have to follow through. There's rules. But in the long run, the way I see it, because including promotores, promotoras, including the county, including everyone, and I'm talking from like kids in elementary, junior high kids, high school, seniors, adults, teens, this whole big community, everyone's going to know what's going on in the county, in the city. And this is the reason why I think promotoras is the best way to go. First of all, because like has been said, we speak the language. We know the community. We're the ones that are sitting right next to that other parent who probably doesn't know about what's going on, but because now it's in Spanish, it's a lot easier to connect and say, hey, ¿quieres ir a la junta con nosotros, right? It's a lot easier that way than when everything was sent out in English, or it was through a website that a lot of our parents couldn't even log into that. So to me, having the promotores, it's gonna be an amazing thing. For my organization at CEC, last year in 2021, we started, and we're working with Visión en Compromiso with a 3CE, which is Central Coast Energy. And this is 3CE is what they call it. We are working to do the outreach for the EV information. So basically the EV information is electric cars. As Garrett was mentioning, there's a lot of stuff that we want to provide to the community, but we can't because this certain wording does not catch the community's interest, right? So we have to think outside the box. And we have to start thinking, how do we connect with the community in order for them to understand this information? What's the benefit for them? It is not for me, it is for them. So how do I talk to them so they could understand that this incentive program or this specific program is here for them, for the benefit for them, not for the organization who's talking. And also, I think what I like the most about it is that you're not telling them what to do, you're including them in the conversation. To me, it's the most important thing you could do with a human being. And this is in general for everything I was saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. I think you explained better the promoter model than I did at the beginning. I think it's an excellent point of view. And you are also a promotora, so I'm very proud of you being here. Thank you, Anna, for being here today. Gina, do you want to join the conversation?
Yeah. It's so interesting listening to everybody, because when Anna was talking and you mentioned she was a promotora, I feel like I am. And when I have more time, I'll officially go through, I've been to many meetings and we've talked a lot, but I feel I am. And that means in my mental health field, being a gatekeeper, being a person who opens doors for their community and is a trusted person in the community, of which I am, and now SBRN is. So over many years of sensitive, culturally sensitive, responding, doing warm handoffs and referrals, leading, when we respond to any trauma, we do it from the heart. and we were trained in psychological first aid. And it's basically being present with someone. And as Anna said, not telling them what to do, not giving them advice, but letting them lead their own healing. So any work I do, I feel like it comes from your model. And we're a very small grassroots organization. Everyone is volunteers. We have no staff, myself part-time and an admin person part-time. But I continually am applying for funding. And as I said, I want to expand our reach into the communities that are very underserved. Because like Anna said, they don't know where to get information. They don't, and we have to go through the trusted people in that community. So as my vision is to, as we expand our services and are able to go into areas that really do need help, I would be reaching out to the promotores and also hopefully to hire. I mean, I may not be able to do it full time, but I might be able to do for part-time, that they could be trainers, but also do outreach and education and be ambassadors for, you know, what we're trying to do. So I'm hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that we will get the financial support so that we can, but the first opportunity I have, that's what I plan to do with any funding that would allow me to do this kind of outreach. So that's why I keep the connection. I'm very impressed with your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina, and I love you. You started saying the vision and mission of the organization that I represent is similar to the vision of the Promotor Model. And we can, when we started working with this program, I was meeting different people, and it's so good. It's a very good feeling to meet people that are thinking like you, and you feel like you're not the only organization working towards wellness in the community in different areas. And of course, mental health and all the needs in the community. There's also always limited resources, and we need to work with those limited resources to try to get to all the community.
And also, I don't know who mentioned, if it was Garrett or Anna that mentioned, you know, health or misuse is the whole sphere. It's emotional, it's physical, it's spiritual, it's environmental. And so we're striving for optimum health. And that's the vision, right? That's why we want to get this information to people. And so, yeah, it's a mind, body, spirit.
And well, Miriam is part of Visión y Compromiso, and she started working in workforce development to promote this model in different organizations. So maybe Miriam, you can talk about that experience from your point of view.
Thank you, lady. I totally agree with all of you, no? Because I think promotoras are working so hard in our community, and because they are using the community transformational model is the way that the promotora is so successful in the work that they are doing in our communities. And I believe the health, like Gina said, is not only the physical part of the human being, it's also the mental, social, spiritual, environmental, all the components, you know. If one of these components are not good, the person is not healthy. And then the promotoras model, it's a wonderful model, no? Because the promotoras can work with our community in these different aspects, not only in one aspect, no? Not only in the physical part of the human being. My experience working with promotoras for a long time, like 25 years, started in Tijuana, Baja California, when I was working there with low-income communities, and promotoras work with me all the time. You know, I learn from them, and we as an organization over there start building a networking with the others organization to see how we can incorporate the promotora in the workforce. You know, But in that moment, they believe in the volunteer and also the promotoras. They want to be volunteers in the different organization. But when I moved to California and I work with a hospital that is in San Fernando Valley, I learned and I saw how promotoras can work in different areas, like in the hospital, and they were part of the hospital, of the staff of the hospital. Our program was part of the budget of the hospital, and I think it's the best thing that we can do with promotoras. You know, hire promotoras, work with them. They can be part of our team and work together. You know. Then now that I'm working with Visión y Compromiso, and we are seeing more and more how we can incorporate the promotora into the workforce. And I think it's through all of you, through all of your organizations that are open, that are clear about the promotora model and how you can integrate this model in your site, you know, and in different sectors, not only in one specific sector. Then I totally agree with you. I think as a Visión y Compromiso, we believe in the model. We know that promotoras can do it, and they have all the tools and skills to work with all of you. And also we have the Institute of Promotoras that we are training them to be ready to know more, to have to build different design, different community projects and work with our communities, you know, work together with organizations, hospitals, clinics, and our community. And I think the best is our community, you know? We want to serve our community. Just how we can serve better our community, like Ana said, is with working with promotoras. It's like that. Thank you, lady.
Thank you, Miriam. Yeah, and as you said, promotoras not always work in community health as a community health worker. Promotoras can work in different areas, and that was a very good surprise when we started working in Santa Barbara County to find some organizations working with environmental justice that was willing to work with promotoras. And I think it's very important in this area because we have a lot of agricultural workers, field workers, so that is very important for us as Visión y Compromiso to work with communities that are not getting the information, as Ana said. Thank you. And the next question is, have you hired promotores or promotoras during this period? And what are being the challenges and the benefits of working with promotoras? And I know we have different organizations, nonprofit, county, so it's different in each organization. So please tell us about that.
Well, I'll start by kind of describing the context a little bit better. So, you know, my understanding when we first met Visión y Compromiso is that you're a statewide organization helping organizations and promotoras come together to provide meaningful work opportunities and career pathways. We provide training as well as technical assistance to help organizations become better prepared and actually implement promotoras in their programs. And it was a very useful training that we received from you. And we also have the benefit here in Santa Barbara County that we actually have a longstanding local promotor network, the Santa Barbara County Promotoras Network. And so once we had the training from Visión y Compromiso, we were able to look at our local promotor network and then start getting into the process, you know, kind of the more administrative process of figuring out how do we contract for this work? What are we asking the promotoras to do? How much do they get paid? What kinds of services can they offer? We started asking these questions, and then also we looked around at our other our organizational stakeholders. So I represent one department, the Community Services Department, but I was able to enlist interest from our planning and development department and our public works department. And we combined several project budgets. And then we also worked with the city of Santa Barbara, as well as an organization called the Tri-County Regional Energy Network. And they are focused on promoting energy efficiency, but all of the internal county departments, the city of Santa Barbara, the Tri-County Regional Energy Network, they all have outreach money and they all want to reach the same audience. So we put in the effort to help reduce kind of that transaction cost of setting up a purchase order or a contract and getting the scope of work together and setting up the relationship with the promotores. And so we now have over $50,000 to work for almost like a year at least on a variety of different subjects, on climate change, on environmental justice, on housing, on active transportation, on energy efficiency, electric vehicles. And so we have all of these subjects that are basically kind of like a year-long curriculum that we've set up for the promotores. And we have tasks and projects that we're now assigning them. And we successfully have done this now for at least 3 or 4 months. And it's been a real asset for these projects to have the promotores to be able to reach hundreds of new people that haven't historically been, they're not on the email lists and they're not going to show up at the virtual workshop. They're going to be out in the community, and that's where the promotores are meeting with them. And so we kind of have a good cadence, a good kind of sequence where we try to identify days in which we're going to do trainings for the promotores, and we work with the project managers to get their presentations and their materials ready. They got to translate it in Spanish. They have to get an interpreter. Sometimes there's multiple trainings on a specific subject, and then they start working with the coordinators and the lead promotores to get the materials out there to the different offices, so that way they could be distributed to the promotores in the field. So, so one example, one case study that we have is we have a project up in Santa Maria Valley, a public works project to do a multi-user walking bike trail. This was in the month of December, but it was kind of a last minute need that they wanted to do outreach and use the promotores to do so. And within 2 weeks, mind you, this was in the month of December, and it was cold and rainy also during that period of time, but the promotores were able to return 200 surveys on this project. And it just provided a great opportunity for the Public Works Department to be able to take advantage of this being in place. So just some of the lessons learned is it can take a while to kind of get your system in place, but once the system is in place, it starts to become more of a well-oiled machine. And and we're hoping to kind of prove the benefit and value of working with promotores, so that way we can continue to sustain this work. Because once we're done with our plans, we're going to move on to other projects, but hopefully we'll continue to invest in this partnership, so that way we'll be able to sustain our engagement and continue working with promotores on a variety of different subjects, kind of all, again, related around sustainability and urban planning.
You, Garrett. I love hearing everything that you are telling us, and congratulations, because you implement this program very quick and get funding. I love the networking with other organizations and like put together different efforts into one idea. I'm very happy to hear that. And yeah, it's a very good thing to know. I love that you said we needed to translate the material. We needed to have an interpreters for promotoras or promotores. And I think it's a it's an effort that the organization is doing. So it's valuable that effort too. So thank you, Garrett. I'm very happy to hear that. And how many promotoras have you trained or hired in this time?
So our relationship is unique in the county in that the Promotores Network is managed by the county executive office or the county education office. So our contract is with the county education office, and then they're the ones who are subcontracting with the promotores individually. So when we offer trainings, they tend to offer the trainings to any of the promotores that want to learn something new. And that could be as many as 80 promotores in the network. I haven't seen 80 show up, but I've seen over 30 promotores show up at a training, so that's quite a few. And then once we decide on the community or the neighborhood that we need to be engaged in, they identify who the right person is to be there. So it tends to change based off of what the context is for the project.
Thank you, Garrett. I love that getting in touch with the network of promotoras in Santa Barbara, inviting everyone to the training. And I know promotoras are always looking for new knowledge. So yeah, I'm very happy to hear that. And I don't know if Anna or Gina want to join the conversation. Gina.
I was really curious with Garrett how, because I haven't hired any yet, but I'm thinking, okay, the process. So when you reached out, Garrett, how did you get the promotores to come to the trainings? What was the outreach?
Right. So again, because we're working through the county education office, and there are 3 lead promotores who do most of the coordination. So we identify a training day, and then the lead promotores will coordinate with the promotores to show up for the training.
Okay.
So once you have your contractual relationship in place, they'll be the ones who will help facilitate the logistical aspects of it.
Okay. And how does Visión y Compromiso fit within that model? Like, how do you coordinate?
So again, Visión y Compromiso, I'm sorry to speak for you, but this is just how I understand how you work. They're a statewide organization. They provide education and training and technical assistance. So they can help you do the work that you need to do. They can do it for you and help you learn along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we have the county education office, and they have staff people who are local, and you and I can follow up offline if you're interested as well, but
Okay.
they will help you figure out what you need to do. I asked from them, to have some sample scopes of work, just so we're understanding like how are the deliverables phrased, or how are the hours tracked, how are we phrasing expectations, and things like that. So and it's worked for the county government, so it should be relatively easy for you to figure out also.
Thank you very much, Garrett. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And Gina, you said that there are barriers or challenges for hiring promotoras. What are one of those challenges?
It's just financial, really, at this point. Being able to pay. I really don't think there will be any barriers apart from that. I think that your team would have promotores interested. It's just I want to make sure that they could be volunteers, but I think that you're looking for, and I know we're honoring and paying them for their time. So I'm just waiting to see if I get this funding, which I should hear very soon. And then looking at the scope of work with you and identifying the role for the promotores in that work. So
And Anna, yeah.
For us at CEC, I would not know much of what Gary was talking about, the whole logistic part of all that. I do know that in February, we did a training with 2 promotoras and then their lead promotoras, so in total 3 promotoras. And it was a training of, I believe, 3 hours, and we explained to them what an electric car is. We talked to them about what's the difference between a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid. We sat down with them. We went over a lot of stuff because the part that we are collaborating with Misión en Compromiso is for education and outreach. And its specific project is for that. So it was very interesting for me because one of the promotoras that took that training, I actually took a training with her, with you guys, Lady and Medium. So that was amazing to reconnect with her. And then I met the lead promotora, which I knew her from a long time ago. So it was a lot of reconnecting for me. But basically, Gina, we had, a training with them, explain to them the benefits of an electric car in that way. And we didn't go scientifically terms or anything. We talked to them in a way that, and we asked the promotoras that were there, when we talk about electric cars, we are not selling anything. We just want them to get the information. So this is what we have. If this is not something that's going to catch the ears or the attention to the community, please let us know and we could work things around. But at the end of the training, we asked one of the promotoras and we said, okay, was it hard for you to comprehend everything we just talked to you about, right? I mean, you were sitting here and you were listening to us and you asked questions, and did we clear everything for you? She got it. And I was like, wow, like when I was doing this specific program at CEC, when they first said, look, Anna, we have this project, do you want to be part of it? I was like, yeah, got in it. And there was a lot of stuff that I was like, oh my goodness, like how am I going to talk to the community about this? This is complicated. But the promotora got it. And I was like, I was impressed because we didn't have to redo the whole thing. She was like, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how I'm going to talk to them. Came back the next week and we did use that part, Lady and Medium, where we left them homework. That's what you guys used to do for us. And she went to the community and talked to her relatives, a couple of people that she knew, brought back the information. And so for us, and everything was in Spanish too. So CEC is mostly, English, and everything is in English. We did this training just in Spanish. So it would be easier because this information has to be out there in the community in Spanish. So we wanted to make sure that the wording that we were using was going to be the same wording that was going to be used in the community, the links, the information. So it's a lot of time consuming, Gina, when you want to work with promotoras in a sense of, so being very honest here, when someone gives you something in English and then you have to translate it into Spanish, a lot of the wording in English is just not it, especially when you want to explain it to the community. There's a lot of words that makes no sense. And so for us, it's very important to make sure that we are toning down a lot of the big words to make sure that that information goes out to the community the right way, in a way that they could understand it. When it comes down to climate justice, when it comes down to climate issues, climate topics, there's a lot of scientifically words and scientific everything. We want to stop doing that. At CEC is something that we're focusing a lot, where we don't want to be doing that anymore. We want to make sure that when we talk to people, they understand what we're asking from them. They understand that what we're saying makes sense to them. And And I think we've come to a place in the world where we're noticing that this is important. If you want feedback from a community, you have to make sure that they understand what you're asking from them. So CEC is doing a lot of changes, and I'm very happy to be part of that. We're changing everything in Spanish, website in Spanish, news outlets in Spanish. Everything that we have is turning into Spanish so everyone could hear about it, and we're including the community more than ever. So that's something different, Gina. And if you have more questions, you can always reach out to my manager, my supervisor. They could talk to you more about how they did it, because Garrett knows all that stuff. I don't know that stuff, so.
Thank you, Anna. I will. And I think that talk about language and justice and equity and all of that, when we work with families, we talk to them exactly, Anna, like you said, like in ways that make sense in their own personal lives. It has to be on that level of why isn't it's not the technology of the electric car, but how does it work with your lifestyle? It's the same with mental health. You know, we don't come in and say, well, you're suffering from OCD, you know, that means nothing. The fact is, you know, you've got somebody who does repetitive compulsive actions. So how can we help you? It's more getting to the actual issues and relatable. And that's why I think of Promotor's model and the work we do is you have to be down at the grassroots level with people. Being an immigrant myself, I understand my family didn't speak the language. They couldn't read or write. They couldn't come to my school events. You have to understand it's a whole different world when you live in those families, you know. So it's all about equity and understanding. So I get it. It is a challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge. We miss
Thank
culture.
you. And I love that the three of you are here because you have different visions of the same reality. So that's very good. We can connect all these parts. And I would like to ask Miriam, you have more experience doing these organizational readiness trainings for organizations. What you have seen that organizations are thinking about when they want to learn about the promoter model? Are they willing to hire promotores? What are the needs they have when they take this training?
I think all of you mentioned it. I think, for example, Garrett, that you said how the different departments of the county involved in the process and know more about the Promotor Model, about how the promotores are working in our community. I think this is so important. I think it probably will be a challenge, but like you said, no, you did it. The county did it. No, then it's not. We can see as a challenge, but we can fix it. No, we can have solution for that. And I think it's very important as much departments get involved in the process of hiring promotoras, know how promotoras are working. For example, HR is very important to let them know how the promotoras are going to work in our community, no? How the promotoras, probably they don't have the English, they don't have computer skills, but how we can work together with promotoras, like Anna said. You said about the preparation of the promotora. This is another it's another challenge, but how as an organization I can be more open to integrate a promotora model and see how I can support promotoras in training them, prepare them to have all the tools, not only in English, but also in Spanish, because you said, Anna, they are going to work in our Spanish community. Then how we can prepare them to be ready to work in my organization, where HR can understand how promotoras are working and how they can work in our community, how the Spanish community, how we can support them to prepare them. And Gina, oh my God, financial all the time. how we can sustain the Promotora program. This is a big issue, lady. When we provide the organizational readiness training, many organizations ask that, how I can sustain the Promotora program. And it's true, because we are seeing how promotoras are jumping from one program to another program, or jumping from one organization to another organization. This organization has now opening position. I can apply and get there, but then probably the project is going to be done in 3 months, 6 months. The idea, like Gina said, is to have a full-time position for promotoras, with benefits, with everything, and how it's the best thing that we can do, because like you mentioned, lady, the service from the heart, promotoras de servicio de corazón, service from the heart. And because they are serving from the heart in our communities, it's a valuable services that they provide, because they build this trusting relationship with the members of the community. They educate the members of the community in any aspect. It's not giving only information or passing flyers and that's it. No, they take the opportunity to educate our members of the community. And the other important component of the community transformational model, they can involve the community to participate in their own process. And I think this is so important. Then in this case, our community is not passive, it's active. And they are part of the process, of the transformational process and development of our communities. Then I think this is some of the aspects that we are seeing in our organizational readiness training when we share with our different agencies our experience as an organization that work with promotoras and for promotoras. It's very important to put in your mind about these aspects before to hire promotoras, but we can see how we can solve this situation, these challenges, and there is a door, and we can work with promotoras and work together with promotoras. And I think the model is very, very successful, and we can have results and we can have return on investment. That sometimes we are thinking in money, but it's not only money. It's how our community can get involved in these different situation aspects, health, mental health, social justice, environmental, how our members of the community can be part of that. This is the return on investment, working with promotoras. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Miriam. I'm very happy to be here with you all today. I think it has been a very rich conversation, and we are getting out of time. So I would like to know if you want to say something to finish your presentation, if you have something to tell to the people who are listening to us. Garrett?
Sure, I'll try and be brief. Over the past few years, equity has become a bigger and bigger theme and a part of the conversation. And I think if we're an organization that's committed to equity, then doing something like this has to be a part of the work that we do, irregardless of the challenges and kind of the doubts that we may have. It was a little bit different than the way that we've done business before, but it's not all that different. And really that bending of how we are working and how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive our relationships with the community, it's really the process of undoing, the injustices and the marginalization. We can't always afford to kind of go down the paths that have already been well trodden. We have to expand our minds and our perspectives on how we can do this work. So I'm very grateful again for the training and for the exposure that Visión y Compromiso provided. It really helped make it a lot more comprehensible to see how a government organization like the county and others could be a part of this process. And so really appreciative of the opportunity that we've been given to do this work.
Thank you, Garrett. That really fills my heart because it looks like we are doing a good job. And I'm happy that that job involves new seats in different organizations. So thank you. Anna.
I wanted to mention something, listening to Miriam talking, how do we sustain this process for the promotoras? To me, what comes into mind is, besides being a promotora, besides working, besides doing all that, we do have a life and we do have rent to pay. We do have food to provide to our children and clothes. And sometimes materials the school's asking for us to buy because there's a specific project, right? So this is part of living. This is something, everyone needs a job, and everyone needs to be part of the change. And as a human being, I heard Medium said, this promoters jump from one organization to a different project, to a different program. And in my mind, what was going is, okay, that person had money for those 3 months, but then there's that gap. What are they doing? Are they sustaining their families, right? So I put myself in their shoes and I think about it like savings, and maybe we don't even have savings. Like your car broke down, now that saving is going for that. So, I mean, everything is just together in one big circle. And it's something to really keep in mind. A promotora is not just for a little bit. It could be for a very long, long time. And we're helping them sustain that stability for her family, and for her children. There was another thing I wanted to ask Garrett. On that survey that you guys created up north, did you guys celebrated on that accomplishment? That is a big accomplishment, and it's something for you guys to celebrate as a county. So I would really suggest that for you and your team to really take that big step and celebrate. It's a big step.
Thank you, Anna. I know Gina has to leave. This is the end of our webinar. We are past a few minutes, but I want to thank you all with my heart. Miriam, Anna, Gina, Garrett. I'm very happy for you to have accepted this invitation. And I know we are going to continue working together in the future. So thank you, and thank you to Santa Barbara Workforce Development Board for being the host for this webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.